There's a reason why I stress the importance of maintaining the black family structure, right? Where I insist on ensuring that a black woman, and their children are raised in the same household, right? In a community where black families are being, black families are together doing the same exact thing, which is, again, how I stress the importance of the black family structure. That is something that is very important, but at the same time has been on life support since the 1960s. This is something I always stress, the fact that the document that I always talk about, which is the Patrick D. Moynihan report, which Patrick D. Moynihan is coincidentally a so-called Jew who wrote this document in 1965 or the 1960s, which was appointed by President Lyndon B. Johnson at the time. They stressed the importance of the document was called The Case for National Action, the Negro Family. And, they basically did a full report indicating how important it was for a black family to be maintained during that time where racial disparities were at an all-time high. Right? And like I've said before, the black family structure has been on life support since the 1960s. There is so less and less black families being raised. Black children are being raised in single households, not with their mother and their father. Black babies are being created with other races, miscegenation, not with a black man and a black woman. You may have a black man and, raising their children with a non-black mother and vice versa. Right? And, like I said, this is very important, but we don't follow this because we don't have any kind of code system where we can have a template or a format ensuring that the black family is intact. Right? We don't have that. And if you are, and this is no bashes on religion, or if you have any following in Abrahamic religions, there are certain laws and there are certain statutes that you must follow, in the Bible that indicate that. But us black people, we don't follow those things. We don't. We don't. And as you can see here, the so-called Jews, right? Ashkenazi Jews, Orthodox Jews, etc. They follow the 613 commandments, right? As you can see here, this is what they follow. And as I said before, I live in a neighborhood, Miami Gardens. The city of Miami Gardens is obviously the largest populated city of people classified as black or African American in the state of Florida. And I live in a neighborhood where right now, if you see a house that's foreclosed or about to go on sale, guess what? The so-called Jewish community, and I mean community, they're going to buy that house. They're going to buy those homes. They're going to take not only their family, but their peers and buy those properties and ensure they gentrify the neighborhood. And so this has been happening in my neighborhood for the past 6 months or so, where every foreclosed house has been bought by a so-called Jewish family, non-black. And the reason why that's happening is because they follow a law. They follow statutes within the 613 commandments. And this is something, like I said, this is something that black people, we don't follow this. We can be Christian up and, follow these religions, these religions that black people follow, right? That we're supposed to be in church and all this stuff. But we don't follow these laws like the so-called Jewish community does. Miami Gardens is the highest populated city of so-called blacks and African Americans, right? highest populated city of blacks and African Americans in the state of Florida. And the Jewish community are buying up properties left and right. And if you look up Jewish communities in the state of Florida, right now, as you can see here, Florida has about 8 cities with large Jewish population. Aventura, Boca Raton, Jacksonville, Hollywood, Miami Beach, North Miami Beach, Palm Beach. So right now, the so-called Jewish communities are coming in droves in Miami Gardens, and they're soon going to gentrify this particular area. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised within the next 10 years or less, this particular city has a heavy Jewish community. See, when they move into different parts of towns, they don't move to fit in like we do. They move to take over. So they have their own everything when it comes to dietary laws, the way they dress. Again, they buy up properties. They don't give a damn, about the history of the neighborhood. If they feel as though they need to move their family into a neighborhood, they will do that and take their whole entire community with them. They move to take over schools, hospitals, food, kosher foods, etc., all under the Jewish system. They have a system, and we don't. They follow statutes and commandments. We don't. And again, that's how I stress the importance of the black family structure. The black family structure, the black family itself has to be the first priority for us to survive. That's going to help eradicate white supremacy, is maintaining the black family structure. Making sure that we have communities of black families being raised and maintained. And we don't. The Jewish community understand that. They understand that the Jewish community, the Jewish family structure, has to stay intact. They have laws and statutes where you can't marry outside of their own race. You can't have children out of wedlock. There's so many laws that they follow. You can't mark your body with tattoos. You can't marry your father's wife. There's just so many laws and statutes and that they follow. 613 commandments from the Torah, the Talmud, Septuagint, whatever the case may be. This is what they follow. We don't have any kind of code system that we follow to abide by to maintain the black family structure. We simply don't. This has to change. This has to change. And when I see, these so-called Jewish folks in our neighborhoods, particularly where I live, they practice their Jewish statutes. Their peers that they have neighboring homes across the street or down the block and where they live, they're all outside. They all walk together. They practice their Jewish statutes. We don't do it. Again, if we move somewhere, let's say we move in a neighborhood that's mostly filled with non-blacks. With non-blacks, we predominantly white neighborhood. We are there because of course we're there just to fit in. We don't take none of our peers, there. And if you follow a religion, like if you're a Hebrew Israelite or whatever the case may be, Nation of Islam, when you move into a neighborhood that's mostly, non-black, are you going to move your peers in that neighborhood as well and make sure they raise their family under a black family structure household? Absolutely not, because we don't follow a code. We don't follow a statute. The only code we follow, like I said before, the only code we follow is the Coon Code, because we stay on point when it comes to white supremacy and abiding by their rules. But we don't have a code that we follow. And the so-called Jewish community does. They follow 613 commandments. Outside of that, They have other code system concepts that they follow as well, because they understand that the Jewish family structure is the most important structure, and a system that maintains that structure to benefit them is the most important thing. Then we gotta change, man. We gotta do something. You know what I'm saying? We have to maintain the black family structure. When we move into neighborhoods, we have to take our whole entire family and our peers. We have to have a system in place where everything benefits us, just like the so-called Jewish community does. We're far along from doing that. Just super far along from doing that. We're nowhere near the structure of the Jewish system. Nowhere near. And this is my observation. I don't speak Hebrew, I'm not a Jewish person at all. I'm not a Hebrew. But just looking at how they move, how they operate, they understand the importance of the Jewish family structure and the Jewish system itself, and how it benefits them, and how they're a protected group and we're not. All right. So those are my quick thoughts about that. Just want to let you guys know about, again, how important it is to maintain the black family structure, and how these so-called Jewish people are taking over my predominantly black neighborhood. And again, within 10 years or less, I wouldn't be surprised if Miami Gardens is gentrified and has a large Jewish population where they have Jewish schools. There's no Jewish synagogue in sight. Like I said, the nearest one is North Miami Beach or Aventura. Ain't no Jewish system, ain't no Jewish schools or hospitals in Miami Gardens. They got to go to North Miami Beach, Aventura to drive there. Hollywood. So they're starting the entry point right now where they're going to have an entry point. They're going to have a system set up. They're going to have a school in Miami Gardens, a Jewish school, a Jewish hospital, kosher foods. They are starting their mark right now. They're taking over. And we're not. We're simply trying to just fit in. We're simply trying to get so-called equal rights. The Jewish community, they don't want no equal rights. They want their own. And that's the mindset we got to have. All right. So those are my quick thoughts about the Jewish community taking over family, and how the importance of the black family structure is for people classified as black or African American. Leave your comments down below in the comment section, family. Until next time, Chauncey, aka the Black Separatist. Make sure you follow me on social media at GMOGMediaTV. Till next time, family, Chauncey, aka the Black Separatist, signing out.